Welcome to Girl Talk. My name is Jessica Jade and I'll be your host. Today's guest is Melanie Santos and she's a freelance graphic designer and marketer. She's also a New York City based content creator. She's a mama, she's a wife, she's an all-around guy. And a lot of her work is centered around self-love, mental health, and so much more. So today, let's just jump right in. Let's jump right into the tea. You talk a lot about mental health, and first and foremost, I want to thank you for doing that because there's such, as you know, there's such a taboo.
Yes.
And 40 million people suffer from anxiety, depression, and a lot of other mental health issues that we don't necessarily discuss, especially in the Latino community, African American communities. And I think as women of color, it's really important for us to discuss that. Tell me a little bit about that. Tell me a little bit about your background with that.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on.
Of course.
Yeah, I found that it's definitely my mission to kind of cradle women of color who are going through the same things that I went through as a teenager, as a growing adult, and even now. For background, I have battled anxiety and depression since I was 17, 18. I didn't even know at that point. It wasn't until I started to have consecutive panic attacks that I didn't even know were panic attacks. Around the time I was in college that I knew that I had a problem. And it wasn't until I had my absolute depressive breakdown, like when I was in the trenches of depression, that I knew I needed to get help. And up to that point, I'm Latina, my mother's Cuban and my father's Dominican. It was just so taboo to even think about seeing a therapist or talking about your problems and not praying about them. So I just didn't think about that at all.
Except for gringos, as they would say.
Yeah. So like just the overall thought of like mental wellness just like wasn't a thing. Of course, I have a really good relationship with my parents, so we would get home and like, how was your day? It was good. But like to have my outbursts, and I would have like outbursts as a teenager, and even, on my weekends home from college, it was just like, yo, you're acting too white. We are not in the movies. Don't have these outbursts. You're being dramatic. And I'm like, wow. Now at 29 years old, almost 30, I'm like, those weren't outbursts. Those were, anxiety attacks that I was having.
Right.
And my parents, of course, didn't understand that. And it took me a while to understand that it wasn't that they didn't care. They just didn't know. So it's just been generations and generations of miseducation, just non-education at all about mental illness, about mental health. So I eventually did go to therapy. And it was actually a journey that I took with my mother. So she helped me find a therapist, which was amazing because it also taught her how to help her child cope with a mental illness, with two mental illnesses. I actually went to therapy with her, which is just like, that never happens in Latino families.
I know. They're like, esto no es para mí.
Yeah, but it was definitely necessary so that we got to like the bottom of, why this was happening to me over and over, what my triggers were, especially because I lived at home with her, with my father, with my brother. But yeah, so in 2013, I'm an extremely creative person. I've always been. I wanted a place, I wanted to create, these are during the Tumblr days, by the way. I don't know if you remember Tumblr.
I love Tumblr.
Tumblr was
addicted.
Tumblr was the bomb. So I had a Tumblr page where I would just like post random things. I always needed like some type of a way to express myself. But I wanted to make it meaningful because I was going to therapy like intensely, maybe a couple times a week. And I did that for about a year.
Is that when you started Mellow Mode?
That was when I started Mellow Mode. So I really wanted a place where I could talk about, what I was going through, heartbreak, but I still wanted to talk about shoes and makeup and hair and music. So I started my blog, Mellow Mode, and I actually started it on Tumblr.
Oh, wow.
And it took off. This is like before blogs, before like the influencer. So people really didn't understand like what it was, why I was doing this, but they were pretty interested on it. So for 5 years, this is going to be my 5th year, coming in December, actually now, around Thanksgiving, I've been building community. Building community around being truthful, around being raw, talking about mental health, talking about mental illness, self-love and self-care, and just, like I said, cradling not only women of color, but people of color. I do
Right.
have a few male followers who resonate with the things that I say. And it's just been such an important, but such a gratifying experience. I can't wait to see, you know, what happens in the coming years, because I've definitely found myself through this platform.
And would you say that your spirituality, because I know you're very spiritual, would you say your spirituality has helped you maneuver your anxiety and your depression?
Absolutely. So I think that I'm absolutely a believer that everything happens for a reason, that everything is connected. And I can definitely see now, you know, the things that I went through when I was 20, when I was 17 matter so much now. You know, what happened when I was 27, the things that happened at 19 totally affected the things that are happening now at 29.
Right.
So my time in therapy definitely helped me cope with these symptoms of mental illness, but spirituality opens me up to the root of it, like the root of my problems, where these things were coming from, why I felt so loveless, why I was so disconnected. And spirituality really helped me reconnect with who I am. I always say, and I always say that I have to coin this term, we're always on a spiritual journey, but spirituality really helps you remember who the fuck you are. Yeah, we're all goddesses. We're all, you know, connected to each other. Everything that I do affects you, and everything that you do affects everybody else. So it's another mission of mine to just have everybody remember who they are at the core.
And I love that I think a lot of people get confused, because I bring a lot of people on the show that use alternative holistic forms of healing, and they're like, oh, so you're like against Western medicine? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you think I'm like, what? No, I'm like, I'm an educated woman. I know that Western medicine has its place, just like you knew that you needed therapy.
Exactly.
But you also knew that there is Eastern medicine, I guess, whatever you want to call it, the spiritual part, the spiritual aspect of your healing was just as important.
Absolutely.
You needed both.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people get that twisted. Don't. There's multiple ways for you to heal yourself. And it's a lifelong journey, but this is why I have the show. Because I want to show women of color specifically that we have different options.
Yeah.
Therapy is just as valid as new moon or full moon rituals. Ooh. So tell me a little bit about that.
When I realized that I was already on a spiritual journey, so everybody talks about the spiritual awakening. You don't just wake up and you're like, all of a sudden I'm on the spiritual journey. It's like, no, you are born, you know, a spiritual, you're born a soul. You're just in a human body.
Exactly.
So when I realized who the fuck I was, that I was this soul in this human body, and it wasn't just all like, I'm not just, you know, walking pain, I'm also like a disconnected soul. I started to research different things and crystals and chakras, and I came across moon rituals. And I realized that a lot of spiritualists, a lot of people online were doing moon rituals. So I'm like, this is really interesting. And doing moon rituals was what opened me up to working with energy, period. So they are just a means of working with celestial energy and a means of learning the power that you have within yourself. So I now have 2 very popular videos of tutorials on moon rituals on YouTube. They're like one of the top 10 most viewed on YouTube. Okay, and I have everybody to thank for that. I was really thorough in talking about them. I don't want them to be misconstrued as spells, which there's nothing wrong with that. Magic is very real, but I don't consider myself a bruja in that sense. They're just a means of learning how to release with the energy of the moon, learning how to manifest and give way for these opportunities to be blessed. Yeah. So yeah, it's just they've opened me up to a whole new world, and now I'm just like, so intuitive, and that I'm so happy that I'm able to help people on their journeys as well.
So tell me, give me one thing that you do for a full moon and one thing that you do for a new moon.
So for a full moons are all about releasing. So there are multiple things. I started out writing down the things that I wanted to release on a piece of paper and burning them. But I also, you know, I release all day long. I release as I'm walking down the street. I release in the bathroom.
Right.
Listen, a good body scrub, even going to the bathroom is a release. Just looking at yourself in the mirror is also super powerful. You really don't realize, you know, how self-conscious you are and even how powerful you are once you look at yourself in the mirror and you start to release your fears and you start to release the things that no longer serve you. Those are super important. For the new moon is all about manifestation, all about bringing back your power, reclaiming your power, giving way to the blessings that are already, they're just waiting, you know, to fall upon you. And since you've already cleared your slate with the full moon, you have this clean new slate to be blessed with. So I have a new moon journal that I journal and I write down all the things that I would like to open myself up to. So,
I love that.
you know, and I use affirmations to do it. So I am a strong human being. I am a powerful leader and things of that sort. Even when it comes to physical things. So people talk about, you know, well, can I manifest that house? And can I manifest that car? And I'm like, sure, you can. I mean, don't write down, I want the Ferrari with the with the tinted whatever. It's not important. And the most important part about manifesting, I think, is that people want to manifest these physical things because they're focused on, you know, how they're going to feel after they have them. And I'm like, well, there you go. You're not after the car and you're not after the big house. You want the feeling. You want to feel. You want that big house because you want to feel secure. You want to feel open.
Abundant.
So, abundant. And people don't realize that the universe is ever abundant. You're always being graced with that feeling, with that abundance. So I always tell people to focus on the feeling versus the physical things.
I love that. That's really smart. And you recently had a full moon. Was it, what kind of event? It was a online workshop?
Yes. So I've spent 5 years creating community and really building trust with the women and men that follow me on my platforms. And I finally have started monetizing. So I'm building this.
Get it, girl.
Yes. Small business. Yes, to businesses of color. And I had my first online workshop. And it was focused on moon rituals, but really how to release and manifest properly. There is a lot of miseducation, I feel like, on the internet. Right now, spirituality is extremely trendy. And it's cool because some people are, you know, opening up to it and doing their own research and doing their own practices and rituals and buying their own products. But there's also a lot of bullshit out there.
There is a shit. I remember 2 years ago, I had a full moon. I didn't even mean for it to be an event. I didn't charge anyone anything. I just invited people over to my house, and it was a full moon circle. And people were like, bitch, what are you talking about?
And now everybody's like, oh my God, I want to go to this stuff.
I'm like, I've been told y'all, this shit is popping. Yeah. And I didn't even mean for it to be as big as it was. Like, I invited 10 girls. They invited 10 people. It was like 30 women in my house. We were there for like 5 hours just drinking wine. And like really releasing. It was amazing. And so it makes me happy to see, you know, more people into it, but it pisses me off when I see big brands trying
the witch kits in Sephora.
Girl,
don't buy those witch kits at
you
Sephora.
better not. You better not.
It's shit like that that's just like, it makes me want to even go harder to break. Like, there's so much stigma now because it's become so trendy around spirituality, and either brings people closer or deters people. And I kind of just want to break that and continue to build community, especially around communities of color, because a lot of our practices are being gentrified. So I kind of want to reclaim all of that.
Right. So tell me, you're a wife, you're a mother, you have a job, you have this beautiful, amazing business that you're starting as well, that you've been starting, but that you're like really getting into now. How do you practice self-care?
Ooh. Self-care, I feel like, is a really broad term, so I want to address that first. Self-care, people think is like candles and like,
I'm like, there's more
body scrubs. But when you really think of like, what is self-care? It's the care of the self. And what are you? I just said we are a soul in a human body. So when you think of self-care, I think you really need to focus on how are you caring for your mind, how are you caring for your body, and how are you caring for your soul.
I agree completely.
So in the beginning, you know, when I was starting out and I didn't know, you know, how to heal myself, what I needed to do, of course, it was body scrubs and, you know, going to get my nails done. But you realize that you still feel unfulfilled, you know. So I started going to sister circles. I started to surround myself with people that were like-minded, people that were doing things that I wanted to do, and that was really important. So that's where I learned about, like, you know, what's my recharge, you know. And we're all like and we're all energy, so we're all like walking batteries. You know, how do you recharge yourself? It could be a bath, but it could also mean spending time with friends that are like-minded. It could also mean spending time with family. It could also mean writing in a journal. It really depends on who you are,
And
what your
sometimes it
interests
looks
are.
like doing things that you don't want to do.
Yes.
Because
So
sometimes it's
self-care is
hard.
also boundaries.
Right.
Self-care is also forgiveness. And those are things that I feel like people are really afraid of.
Yep.
But they shouldn't be, because that only continues that like fear-based thinking, and that further separates you, that further breaks you up. So I think self-care is also really brave. It's really brave to take on, you know, that job of like diving into yourself and diving into your darkness to find your light. That's how I practice my self-care for sure.
So you do have a unique approach to wellness. Do you believe that it's helped facilitate your self-love practice?
I think so. I definitely now am more conscious about, so when I think about the mind, body, and soul, let's talk about body, because I think that's the easiest. It's not just like any scrub. It's, you know, make sure that things are organic. Even thinking about eating. Eating is self-care too.
It sure is. What
Eating
you
is-
put in your body, I mean...
Eating is self-care. That phrase, you know, you are what you eat, is totally true. So I have tried to adopt a more plant-based diet because, you know, we are beings of the earth. So feeding yourself earth foods further grounds you versus eating processed foods, you know, which further separates you and fills you with junk. You know, if you're eating junk, you're going to be junk. And
It's definitely gonna feel like shit.
absolutely. And
I've been there.
Yeah, and like, sure, you crave that pizza, you crave that, you know, that cookie, but, you know, make sure that they're sourced from a place that's not bullshit, you know.
Right.
So definitely just being conscious about the products that I buy, the places where I shop, the places where I do my nails, my hair, you know, just making sure that there's good energy surrounding that, because everything that you're doing is intaking, even conversation.
That's very true. That's 100% true.
Yeah.
So what kind of impact would you like to leave behind as a woman of color on this planet, this beautiful planet that we call home?
Yes. I definitely am always on a journey of reclaiming my power. I think it's really important for me to never pose as an expert, which I have never done, but I think that's what sets me apart, is that, you know, I am definitely interested in furthering my education and learning more about, you know, my mind, my body, my soul, because that'll help me share that education with the world, but also just be real, you know, share my journey with other people and have them share their journey with me so that I can expose it to the rest of the world and everybody becomes connected. I think that is, when I think about, you know, everybody has a superpower, you have one, I have one. I think my superpower is just connection. I down to the fact, like, even before I knew that, I studied communications in college, and that's just always been my thing, just communicating, and now I'm just really focused on like judging less, communicating love more, feeding myself good things and feeding the world good things. So just making the world a better place, in that I want to help everybody remind themselves of who the fuck they are.
That's a beautiful mission, honestly. I think, especially in this day and age, because of social media, because of technology, because of the access that we have, people can be so inauthentic.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? If you put out inauthentic energy, that's the only thing that you're gonna get back. So if you're a content creator like us, if you're putting out, you know, the fake quotes and the fake this and the smiles, you're gonna get bullshit back. So I think what's helped me along the years is being super raw and putting up those pictures with no makeup.
I love that. I love that you do that.
Yeah, those videos of my daughter screaming, so that, you know, other moms,
You're like, you see this?
this is
my life.
real. You know, y'all asking for content. Well, how come you don't film more videos? Because I have a full-time job. I come home and I have to cook for my baby and cook for my husband, and make sure everything is good before I can even start, you know, doing my stuff.
The realness is just, it's palpable, and it's what people want.
Yeah. There's also people who try to be fake real, which is really weird, and that's also a thing. Now, like, I'm tired of...
You can kind of tell.
Oh, girl. I am an extremely intuitive person, so I can definitely read, you know, the bullshit when it's there. And it's just like, I'm tired of seeing wellness creators, like, taking pictures in their underwear. We get it. You're comfortable with your body positivity, but, like, Give me the real. Like,
I don't get the purpose of that, but no judgment. Live your life.
do what you gotta do, okay? Do what you gotta do. But it's definitely like real energy is so needed on social media. So
I
needed.
agree. So tell me, where can we find you? Where can we get the rawness, the realness, all the goodness?
Really easy. You can find me online at melaniesantos.co. That is also my Instagram handle, and all my other handles. You can find me on YouTube at Melanie Santos. They're all on my website.
Well, Melanie, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you
and
for
for talking
me.
to us about your mental health journey, about your spirituality, and for talking about it in a way that's accessible and that we can understand, and for creating new services that we can purchase from you and learn more from you. Thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And thank you for watching Girl Talk. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Girls.